At exactly 2:13 a.m., the emergency department of St. Mary's Hospital received a phone call. A nurse answered. There was silence on the other end. Then a man's voice whispered, "Dr. Harris is dead." The call disconnected. The nurse immediately looked toward the doctor's lounge. Dr. Daniel Harris had been working the night shift. He was one of the hospital's most respected surgeons. And just 10 minutes earlier, she had seen him walking into his private office. Security was called. 2 officers entered the room. Dr. Harris was lying beside his desk. He was dead. There was no weapon, no broken window, no sign of forced entry. And strangely, the office door had been locked from the inside. Detective Emma Carter arrived at the hospital before sunrise. Her first question was simple. Who knew he was in this room? The answer shocked her. Only 4 people. The head nurse, the hospital administrator, Dr. Harris's assistant, and his younger brother, Michael. All 4 were questioned. Everyone claimed they had nothing to do with the doctor's death. But Detective Carter noticed something unusual. Dr. Harris's computer was still running. The screen showed a patient file. The patient's name was Thomas Reed. The file had been opened at 2:07 a.m., just 6 minutes before the mysterious phone call. Detective Carter asked the hospital administrator about Thomas. His response was strange. "I don't know that patient." But Thomas Reed was listed as an emergency patient who had been admitted 3 days earlier. So why did the administrator claim he didn't know him? Detectives searched the hospital database. Thomas's medical records were almost completely empty. No address. No emergency contact. No insurance information. Only one note appeared in his file. "Do not discharge." That sentence immediately raised suspicion. Detective Carter asked the nurses who Thomas was. One nurse quietly explained that he had arrived unconscious. He had no identification. But someone had paid his hospital bill in cash. Every night. For 3 nights. Then Carter discovered another disturbing fact. Thomas had disappeared from his hospital bed exactly 20 minutes before Dr. Harris was killed. His room was empty. His clothes were gone. His medical bracelet had been cut off. Someone had taken him. But who? Investigators reviewed hospital security footage. At 1:42 a.m., a man wearing a doctor's coat entered Thomas's room. His face was hidden by a surgical mask. He stayed inside for approximately 4 minutes. Then he pushed Thomas out of the hospital on a wheelchair. But there was something strange about the footage. The man was walking with a slight limp. Detective Carter checked every doctor working that night. Only one doctor had a noticeable limp. Dr. Harris's assistant. Dr. Michael Harris. Daniel's younger brother. Michael denied everything. He claimed he had been in the operating theater. But security footage showed him leaving the surgical floor at 1:38 a.m. His alibi was broken. Police searched his locker. Inside, they found a blood-stained surgical glove. And a key. The key opened Daniel Harris's private office. Michael was arrested. But Detective Carter still felt something was wrong. Why would Michael kill his own brother? And why would he take Thomas? Then the forensic report arrived. Dr. Harris hadn't been stabbed. He hadn't been shot. He had been poisoned. The poison had been administered through an 4-line. That meant the killer needed medical knowledge. Michael was certainly capable. But there was another problem. The poison had been administered approximately 30 minutes before Dr. Harris died. At that time, Michael was still inside the operating theater. His CCTV alibi was real. Someone else had killed Daniel. Detective Carter returned to the hospital. She examined the 4 equipment. Then she noticed something. A tiny scratch on the 4 stand. It contained traces of blue paint. The same blue paint was found on the wheels of Thomas Reed's wheelchair. The wheelchair had been taken from the hospital basement. Carter checked who had access to the basement. Only hospital employees. Then she discovered a hidden security camera. The camera showed someone moving the wheelchair at 1:39 a.m. The person's face was hidden, but their shoes were visible. White medical shoes, with a distinctive red stripe. Only one employee wore that exact design. The head nurse, Sarah Collins. Sarah was brought into the interrogation room. At first, she denied everything. Then Detective Carter placed Thomas Reed's photograph on the table. Sarah's expression changed. Carter finally understood. Thomas wasn't an ordinary patient. He was actually Sarah's husband. And he had been investigating the hospital for months. He had discovered that several patients were being given unnecessary treatments, and their insurance money was being illegally claimed. Dr. Harris had discovered the same scheme. He planned to expose everyone. Sarah was involved. But there was another twist. Sarah hadn't killed Dr. Harris. She had only helped move Thomas out of the hospital. Thomas was still alive. He had witnessed the murder. That's why Sarah had tried to hide him. She was afraid the real killer would come after him. Detective Carter immediately returned to Dr. Harris's office. She examined the computer again. The patient file that had been opened at 2:07 a.m. wasn't Thomas's original file. Someone had logged into the system using Dr. Harris's password. Carter checked the login records. The login came from another computer. The hospital administrator's office. The administrator, Richard Cole, was confronted. His story collapsed within minutes. He admitted that he had been stealing millions through fraudulent medical claims. Dr. Harris had discovered the scheme. Thomas had also discovered it. Richard had poisoned Dr. Harris to silence him. Then he planned to kill Thomas. But Sarah had secretly moved Thomas before Richard could reach him. The mysterious phone call at 2:13 a.m.? It wasn't from Sarah. It was from Thomas. He had escaped from the hidden room where Sarah had placed him. And he called the nurse because he knew Dr. Harris was dead. Richard Cole was arrested. Thomas survived. And the hospital's fraudulent operation was eventually exposed. Months later, Detective Carter returned to St. Mary's Hospital. She stood outside Dr. Harris's old office. The case had started with one mysterious phone call. One sentence. Dr. Harris is dead. But the investigation revealed something much bigger. A hidden conspiracy. A missing patient. A frightened nurse. And a doctor who had discovered the truth. Just before someone silenced him. Detective Carter later said, "In a hospital, everyone expects doctors to save lives. But sometimes, the person wearing the white coat is the one you should be afraid of."